I haven't done it.
I don't know. I'm gonna
Uh-oh.
start streaming now. I'm just gonna.
Twitter
So
share
let's get that tweet
live
there.
with episode
Join us for.
51
Oh look, let's just.
of
Oh.
the
Join us
365
for the Message Center. 365 Message Center show.
Show.
Yeah.
Show?
I better
Show.
turn off our echoes too.
Let's try that again.
Volume mixer. Chrome is down. Down you go, Chrome. And hashtag Re365. Boom. How about that? That's our new name. Again, a little change, but let's roll the credits. Welcome. This is a new show. No, it's not. It's the new name of the show, the 365 Message Center show. Buddy, was it too much to say the week that was? I hear we had some feedback that it was a bit of a mouthful.
It is a little bit of a mouthful. You know, it's just a lot of words. We're trying to be succinct, right?
Yeah.
So too many words. You know, if we got rid of Office because Microsoft renamed it to Microsoft 365, and so instead of keeping up with what Microsoft wants to call it, we'll just drop the first word, right? So go with 365, and then
Okay. So, but we can't quite do what they've done with Teams or Planner. You know, like we can't have a single word. We couldn't just call ourselves Show. Come watch the show.
Well, I guess we could go.
Is anyone taking that?
There is. It's funny. I saw a coffee shop yesterday, and it was the name of it was Get Some Coffee. Get Some. That's what it was. It was Get Some Coffee Shop. And so when you say I'm going to go get some coffee, you're going to get some coffee. Anyway,
I like that.
So yeah, we could do that. I'm going to go watch the show.
Now, actually.
Well, the show, right? We are the show.
We are.
Anyway.
Okay, well, enough of
On with it.
names. Yeah, that's right. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Hey, let's just check in and quickly see who is here. Roll call.
Erica and Sandy.
Hey. Oh, where'd you go? I hope you're still there. Oh, no, you are. That's
I'm here.
It's just my monitor's done something weird and it's failed. We do have Phil sends his apologies. He's at an event, and I just about hassled him and said, you could have joined in from YouTube on your phone.
Mobile. That's right.
What's the problem?
Come on, Phil.
Unless, he actually wants to focus on the event that he's at, so we'll excuse him.
Okay, fine.
So we will have to check in because we know we have an interesting audience with interesting opinions. I almost feel like some of these episodes we just need to leave the chat open and recording so that we can keep bouncing things off. So we'll do that occasionally. Good to have you this time, Erica, too. And all right, let's dive right in. I've been trying to think about a phrase that is different to that because it's become the cliche, hasn't it? As you start doing what you need to do, showing your demo. What do you use, Dan?
Let's get at it. Let's do this. I don't know.
We'll come up with something. Got to be different. All right.
Yep.
So messages and Message Center. There were a few, but that problem you had last week where it refreshed a bunch of messages that were dismissed a long time ago. I had that too. Check this out, and I got a bit tired of refreshing them. And
it was really difficult.
May the 4th, June the 4th. And there was a few, long before that. I don't know why it re-highlighted it and said, you haven't read this. You need to read it again. And I know that some of the messages we do get are, hey, this is a live feature now, so take a look at it again, and they adjust the date. I'm just wondering if it's one of those that kind of, I don't know.
And that's what I asked, but when it happened to me, it was, I don't know, 30 or 40 of them all at once. But anyway.
So we are at June 11th, not June 5th.
Right.
And we're checking out a new and improved insight report in the Security and Compliance Center.
Yes.
Now, I had an interesting story from this one. I think you have the same behaviour too. It's not. I know that we have people who watch the show that are not consultants, so they're not across all these different tenants. They might be, just an admin for their own company, their own organisation. But a good practice when you are doing work for a customer is that they might give you an account so that you can actually, enter their environment and take screenshots of things that are actually theirs or configure things for them. And what happens with that sometimes, Dan? If you get an email address inside their environment, how do they communicate with you?
This is the old school issue that we're running into Teams with Teams now, right? We have multiple tenants and teams across, whether it's organizations or you have your personal and your work, whatever. And how do you get those notifications? Well, you have to log in to whatever tenant or email address, the email box to see the emails. So, yes, I've run into it many times where, I'm working with an organization and I get an email address because I need an account or they want to set me up that way, and fine. But what I like to do is forward those emails, that email address, to my work email address, to my InfoWorks address, because I'm not going to go and check that email all the time. I'm doing my work. I'm not on their email system. And so that's the way I like to set it up if they're going to give me an email address and expect me to check the email. So, but I ran into one client, and I know you have as well, where you set up the forwarding and it just doesn't forward the emails, or there's an alert to the email admin saying, hey, this person's trying to forward their email outside of our domain, because that could be a security risk, right? So, and a not just security, but also losing your intellectual property. So anyway, but so that's what you were going with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's fresh in the mind because the org that I'm working with to help them with getting into Office 365, they have enabled a number of these different security features. And as I did that very thing, I set up email forwarding because I had signed into Outlook Web Access, or Outlook on the web, and noticed that they were starting to send me meeting invites to Daryl at this company instead of the address I'd been receiving them on earlier. So you have to catch those sorts of things. And as I did it, it was literally minutes after. The Exchange admin sat behind me and he said, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm doing something dodgy.
Yeah, right.
But I said, it's good to know that it works. And that's the topic of this alert, among other things, is that there are various different templates that have been and are available for managing security alerts and what you get alerted for. And this one is definitely around threat protection and data loss. So if you dip into the additional info, which just again will remind everyone that that's a good thing to visit, though sometimes it is mixed success, isn't it, Dan?
It can be, but in this case, it is good to. This one is a good one. Gives you some detail on what's coming, but also gives you kind of an overview of that threat protection. So,
and it takes you to a place where you can discuss that, because the tech community is the great place to read those blogs, because they're coming fresh out of. And if you notice up here, little path that says homepage for the tech community. The community for the tech community is the security and compliance community. And then you've got their own blog, which is sitting off that, and that's the pattern we see with a number of the product groups. So they're taking you to the right place to read about it and ask you questions.
That's right.
And so it's taking you into some more detail about the Security and Compliance Center and the alerts and the alert levels. There are a few additional templates available. I don't claim to spend a lot of time in here understanding or knowing them, but this show's all about awareness. So
that's right.
Go on in there and check it out.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's certainly become a bigger focus these days. Not that security hasn't been, but the tools that we have available within Office 365, Microsoft 365, to manage this cloud environment have hugely improved. So it's makes it a lot easier.
Yes, I agree.
All right. What's our next one?
Is it raining, Daryl?
It is. I know.
Okay.
For those of you who have seen the show before, my office doesn't have much of a roof in terms of like padding or insulation. So it sounds like it's a crowd that's cheering in the background, but it's not.
Yeah, good job covering that, Daryl.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Hang on, let's just check on the live chat. Anyone clapping? No. Oh, we've got Al in there too as well.
Yeah, he's not clapping.
No,
So for this alert policies announcement here, I wanted to say one thing and has nothing to do with actual announcement, but you'll notice, and it's something I brought up I think last week, but the last alert and this alert, you notice the spacing is still off. I don't know. It's just a pet peeve of mine.
Take it back to 100% because I do zoom in a bit for the show.
But it's
so
still off.
See it.
I mean, there's ginormous space. Now, what's interesting is that when we get to our last announcement for today, and even the second to last one, the spacing is different, and it's actually better. So I don't know. Maybe they improved it. Who knows?
I find this readable.
There's just a lot of wasted white space. Anyway.
Okay.
So this new alert policies in Office 365 Security and Compliance Center. Notice it says the Office 365 Security and Compliance Center.
Yep.
So this is rolling out to E1 or E3 subscriptions, and it's really talking about your alert policy and the tools that are coming to you. So
you know what?
as part
I feel like I just talked about this and didn't actually talk about the previous one.
Basically. No. It is the previous one was the improved insights and reports. So being able to get the threat protection status, the DLP. So we talked about the data loss. This one is kind of in conjunction with that, saying having these alert policies, which is the one thing we talked about with forwarding rules, but also elevation of Exchange admin privileges. And then also, and I think, even as important or maybe more, is that message being delayed. Yeah. So in that, as an admin, you want to make sure that everything's rolling along like it's supposed to. And if you're having messages that have been delayed, you might need to look into why that's going on. So I think that's important.
I saw a discussion on that. I think it was Martina Grom, and she was asking, do Exchange admins still have a daily task to go in and check if messages have been delayed and using the message trace tool?
Yes.
And, a tool like this means that you don't have to necessarily go in and check, but you can be reactive, I guess. You only check when it's detecting and alerting you that there are messages sitting in the queue.
Yeah.
Useful. For this one, support for third-party storage providers in Outlook and the web. Now, we have seen the third-party storage providers in Teams that came in, I guess, 4, 5, 6 months after it went GA, and that's all about making sure that not only are you using SharePoint file services, which are the preferred method, but let's connect to some of your repositories that you already have, or where you might want to leverage something like Dropbox, because, and I'm thinking of an example for my current customer, they might need to get content from the public, and if someone's wanting to submit a story or something, so they're going to push using the tools that the customer's going to use, the public is going to use the tools that they choose to use. And so it's not you driving here, you need to use this link to drop something into SharePoint, because it's not really that easy to say, here, public, drop it, whatever. But using or hooking into Dropbox or Google Drive might suit that. So we have that capability in Teams, and they're adding that to Outlook. How easy is it to add that capability to Outlook on the web Dan, and only Outlook on the web at the moment, by the way.
Right. Yeah, I think that's going to be a very important differentiator between Exchange, so Outlook on the web, right? Exchange and Teams. Teams you just described, I can go in there as long as it's not, turned off somehow. I can go in there and add that additional storage. But in Outlook on the web, it has to be done by PowerShell. So it basically when we're adding that support for that third-party storage, it's going to be not turned on. So if you don't want to allow it, then you have to do nothing. But if you want to turn it on, then you're going to have to set it via PowerShell. So that's the admin, the Exchange admin doing that. So that's something you have to be proactive. So it's not going to be a shadow IT here, unless you turn it on and then just let people do whatever they want. So that's how you do it. And I think, and the last thought I have about this is, not previously, and I think ongoing, Microsoft does this. They release capabilities to administrate the different services in PowerShell, and then they come back to the UI. Yeah. And enable it in the UI in the admin center. But my personal opinion is that what I've seen is that, Exchange has been this long time very administrative heavy on the settings. And I feel like that's not the case as much with the Exchange as it is with like SharePoint or other services. Now, I may be completely wrong. It's just kind of my gut feeling. That this may be one thing that never gets something in the UI. I don't know, and I'm sure there's people that might prove me wrong, but that's my general feeling.
And if you think back in the history of PowerShell and it being used to manage services, Exchange was one of the first to make that the native experience.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I think it was Exchange 2007 where when you ran a command, even if you didn't choose to use PowerShell, it would show the PowerShell output, which you could then take and then use to develop your scripts. And so there is that expectation that an Exchange admin should know PowerShell, should have their own book of recipes to do things on bulk. And yeah, you're right. They don't necessarily show things in the UI. Not a bad thing, but for those of us who, or for small to medium businesses that don't necessarily dabble in that, this is something that you'll need to enable in PowerShell. Yeah, and right. it is the as you see at the top here, it is the mailbox policy. So you can create the policy and then apply the policy to the mailboxes that relate to this. And thinking that through, actually, if you create the policy, then the policy becomes available in the UI, I believe, to then apply to mailboxes. So, yeah, it could be just a set once and make it available in a policy. All right. Useful, though. I mean, I can see that it's going to be available within groups for Outlook. So that's what I think it's leaning towards, to give it that same capability that you do within Teams. I don't know whether you'd want to necessarily enable it for people's mailboxes, individual mailboxes in your business. Depends on what kind of collaboration you're trying to encourage.
Yeah, and the most often cited example that I have for using a different storage solution is that I've worked with a lot of creative people creating content, digital video and images and all the sorts, and they love using Dropbox. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the people that I've been working with, but they love Dropbox. And so, that's one of those where, hey, if you don't, so maybe if you're on Office 365, but you're creating a bunch of stuff and you still love Dropbox, then that may be, something that you would enable it for. So,
Yep,
anyway.
I see the same thing. And, you've got to be honest too that some products started out with a different angle to how they share and the way that they do it. And SharePoint and OneDrive had certain legacy ways of doing things that they've had to adapt to provide similar or the same functionality. So there is, there will be audiences and certain ecosystems that prefer to stick with what they know because they've built up their work processes around it. So, good to see that at least Microsoft has been adaptable and allowing these sorts of things to be connected so that you can choose what you want to use.
Yep.
All about that. We've got
VMware database mandates.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are really just informational, aren't they? They're just, we're going to be doing some maintenance on your database. It's between these times. Messages may not be available during that time. And, I'm just, wonder, like, is it... Because we don't see that too much from the other product groups. We saw one recently where your SharePoint experience or database might be shifted or load balanced to a different area, and I kind of pointed out that time the additional information wasn't useful because it pointed to a 2015 time when it moved my database from the Asia Pac data center to Australia.
I think these are good. Getting us the announcement of what's going on. It's just, you emphasize or you brought it up that other services were not seeing this. I'm wondering if it's just because there isn't downtime when they're doing that. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, Exchange is constructed in a way that, if you talk about outages, at the mailbox level, your mailbox could be on any of the Exchange servers in the data center. It's just that they've done an amazing job bringing that all together virtually to provide your Exchange organization. So it's not like you can say, we're taking out these servers, or we're going to be shifting this particular database, because it's all very cleverly distributed. Whereas a Yammer database or SharePoint, as you'd know, Dan, it is a blob, it is a big thing, and whether it be load balanced or whatever, it's not like you're distributing document libraries between many different farms across different customers and tenants. Good. So it's good to actually see these messages anyway, because as an admin, you've got to let your people know when there's going to be an outage, and that to expect when. I find this one interesting too. Like when you say we for organisations and users around the globe, we recognise that outside of normal business hours might be different to you, because it's a global company. These outages aren't necessarily going to fall.
There's no way, because how do you do it if you're a global company and a global organization? It's, just because it's outside of 90% of the work hour, people that you have's work hours, it's still going to be in the 10%. So they just can't guarantee it, and it's a global ecosystem here. So, but I like how they trying to target that way, but so.
Yeah, and it's symptomatic of having the current database that they have. So I believe they're moving to a different structure, and all these little moves and things that they do are all about trying to position to use a more distributed and fault tolerant structure that you won't have to notify of these outages. They'll just happen, and you won't even know it. We're just about near the end of the thingos. We've got Label Activity Explorer. I haven't looked much at this. How about you?
No, I read the additional information. The Security and Compliance Center is getting a lot of love this week. And I think, this is good for exploring what's been done. I think we've had examples where there's a lot of stuff going on in your tenant, and just realizing what is it that's been going on. Things like in my latest presentation I gave on Power BI, embed codes. So you can create embed codes in Power BI, but how do I know who's created embed codes? Well, now there's a page in the Administrative Center for Power BI that shows you all the embed codes, who created them, etc. So I think this is one of those times where it's nice to have that information about where are the labels being used in your organization. So getting your top labels, it says your ratio of users versus auto applied, and more. So this is a great addition. I'm looking forward to getting started using it.
It would be good to do a deeper dive on that. No, we've got some in the Regarding 365 team that are quite keen on the security aspect. You've got Jethro Seekers, Alistair Pugin, and Alistair. He's probably got some opinions on that. We'll flick over to
His
the live
opinions
chat.
on everything. If he's listening, he's probably not listening right now.
No, and he's also 30 seconds behind because of the way the broadcast works.
Right. Yes.
But yeah, it is, like you said, it's good to see a lot of focus going into giving us controls around the security of our information, and Azure information protection and labeling do go together well.
Yep.
And it's given us an easier way for us to, with one or two clicks, classify a document, classify a site, make sure that these sorts of things are being applied without too much effort. If it was, yes, you opinions, Alistair.
Yeah.
If it was a real hassle, we'd go back to, we've got five minutes to fill out metadata before we can actually save a document up there, and that would be defeating the purpose of the security.
Right.
Yeah. Now
Anyway.
That's it in terms of messages. Was there anything that you noticed this week in terms of changes, discussions, things on the community?
Let me think. I'm looking back at my notes. I don't remember. We had a good show on talking about the changes to Office UI. That recording is up.
Yeah, that's right. And look, we do apologise for those who tried to join the live show. I ended up having to run it off the mobile data of my phone because my lines company was out, and I know they weren't supposed to be doing anything, but it just so happened that the internet completely sucked at that time.
It was great.
In my bid to try and get fibre. But yes, we fixed it in post, so we'll drop a link in the corner up there of that recording just to point you to it. And it was a good discussion. So we had Sarah Huzzy, we had yourself, we had Laureen Strand, and me. And you. What did we determine about the new UI and ribbon for Office 2019?
I think I might have been the most skeptical coming into the conversation. Surprise. But I think what we concluded was the changes are okay, and they're not that bad. There are changes, and some of it's a little quirky, and we don't understand a little bit of it, but for the most part, it's a good thing. And, if you need to get to your full menu, you can just expand it and you'll have access to it. So I think it's good.
Yeah. It's not going to be too big an impact, and there'll be one or two things that you could teach your people to show them how to have it how it was. But I am looking forward to a more focused ribbon. We're getting different sizes of ribbons. And what else did I notice? I know there was something I wanted to say about Teams. It just felt like they'd improved it recently. I know what that is. Now, when you do go to join a meeting in Teams, I like the experience. It's improved now where you get to choose and make sure that you're using the audio or the video that you want to for that meeting. I've got a couple of cameras. I'm always plugging into different device
the
hubs.
pop-up?
Yeah.
Are you talking about
exactly.
like at the initial when you're going to join, it says,
Yep.
okay, do you want to have your video on? Do you want to have your audio on? And what source do you want to use? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's right. Are these the right sources? Because it's something that if you just start a call, that's something that you don't have still. You just start a call, and then we've got that old dialogue, which it just turns on the first available video, which may or may not be the one that you want, and
That's
it'll
right.
pick up the latest device, which might be a Bluetooth headset you don't have plugged in, rather than this microphone here. So I know it's first world problems. If you've got lots of devices, stop complaining, Daryl. But if you're plugging into different desks or different hubs and things, if you work out of a a shared environment where you can do that. That's kind of important.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. I had there was something about some integration with Teams or something, but it was just a third-party integration. So I think, I don't know if I have anything else that was announced.
Al's passing comment too about Teams. You still get the occasional video hang-ups. So yes, that is true. And we even saw that in the Office UI change webinar. We use Teams to bring people together so that we can broadcast and talk from there.
That's right.
And so we had a bit of freezing time there from Lorian. Could potentially be a hardware thing. You had dropouts there too, so it can happen. But yeah, for the most part, I think we ran, and we're well overdue for this, doing another regarding 365 debate. But the last one that we ran on, I think a number of us said that they were on quite low bandwidth in places at the time, but the video and the audio quality was awesome. So
yeah, it's weird because the presentations I've done that's been about Teams. I did one in St. Louis. I did one in somewhere else. It was great because I had Al on. I had Lorian on, and the quality wasn't great initially, but it caught up, right? And it did some buffering, and it actually turned out really, really well. So I'm surprised at some of the issues that have cropped up. But anyway,
yeah, well, yeah, it could be a number of things. You can't necessarily blame it on Teams, like Al says there. That sometimes you'll have to unplug and plug his webcam back in, so it could be all sorts of switching issues. But that's by and by. That was just a change that I noticed. It could be a user problem, exactly. So that was what are we called now? The 365 Message Center show. There you go, nice and short.
Nice and short.
I will make
we're still tweaking with it. Yeah. But,
yeah. I'll make that last little adjustment to the roll in, roll out credits. But that was the show, and I can't say that was the week that was anymore.
No,
Daryl,
you can. It could be like the subtitle. It could be just like the.
Okay. It just rolls off. Yeah, no, it's habit. But yeah, do keep checking in with us. Thanks everyone who joined us in the chat. Erica, Sandy, Alistair, and very briefly at the beginning, Phil. We'll give you a note. I guess we'll excuse you. And we'll pass some links up there in the corner to some of the videos and things that we mentioned. About time we get someone on to have a chat about how they're working and what they do. So if you want to be on the show, and we talk to people occasionally, 10 minutes or so, and we talk about like a project that you're doing or how you're using Microsoft 365 technologies.
Yeah.
We want to share your story, and we're pretty friendly people. We'll get up at crazy hours, or some of us will, to make a recording, so it makes it easier for you. So reach out. Do a DM to @regarding365 on Twitter, and we'll catch you again.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody.